Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. Do I look weary to you? Because I feel like I've been kicked around the block a few times. This move into the new house has really trashed me. I got to tell you, people say the most traumatic things in life are moving and childbirth, and I say it's moving because I don't have to go through childbirth, thank God. I just have to cause childbirth. But I am still recovering, and I'll probably be recovering for the next few days. Anyway, we have a great show today. We're about to embark on the holiday season, which means most of us will throw caution to the wind, be drinking and eating and not training, especially if you're in lockdown again with your local state, like we are here. The gym access is going to be limited. This is when people get sick. This is when they get sick because your immune system starts to falter. Now, all of a sudden, you're around people who you haven't been around for a while, and next thing you know, you got the sniffles. Well, we have a plan for you. It's a stack that will help improve your immune system so that you can come out of this with all oars still in the water on the other side of the new year and be ready to jump right back into life. So stay tuned for that. Then, of course, second hour, we're going to have the BluePrint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish, where we answer your questions. No question is off topic. Of course, we talk about training, nutrition, drugs, anything you want to talk about. So if you're watching live, you can post your questions later at the top of the hour when that show starts. We have to thank our title sponsor, Legendary Foods. EatLegendary.com is the website. SHR10 is the code, and not only saves you 10% off, but also tells them you found out about them here on Superhuman Radio, which helps the show. And help yourself to some great snacks and desserts that keep you in your high-protein, low-carb, low-sugar lane. Go to eatlegendary.com. SHR10 is the code. And now one of my favorite guys to have on the show is none other than Wade Lightheart. How you doing, Wade?
Doing great, Carl. Glad that you got all moved in to your new place. Moving is always very stressful. It's psychologically, emotionally, energetically. It's just one of those things that it's nice once it's done, but the transition is always tough.
Well, we moved further out to the country, so I have to tell you something. I'm going to share something kind of off topic with you.
Sure.
Okay. So we moved out to the country, and there is no noise out there. It's shocking how quiet it is. You can hear dogs barking from literally like hundreds of yards away. It's dark. There's no street lights. So it's so dark. I have been sleeping better than I've ever slept before. Seriously. Just getting on. And here's the other fascinating thing. So we don't have Wi-Fi in the house yet. They're coming out today to hook up the cable. I can't find a router. I can't find a route, which means I'm also not being rained down upon by ambient RF from everybody's cordless phones and routers and all this other stuff. What do you think?
The unintended consequences of technological innovation have pushed humanity into a situation of constant and increasing assault from all of the negative consequences of technical innovation. I'm not against technological innovation. I want to be clear about that. But the unintended consequences are like we just didn't know. Now we're subjected to it. The challenge is, and this is what I don't know what's happening here. We got a background noise going on here. There we go. So, what's going on here? Weird. My phone just came on somewhere. So
hey, there's those unintended technological.
There it is again. You know.
Yeah. See, they're everywhere. They're lurking everywhere. That we
I don't know if you noticed that, but your phone just randomly comes on suddenly for some reason. So, Big Brother's listening. But But to go back there, and that's a good segue.
Yeah.
The machines are interrupting our natural flow of humanity consistently. The challenge is a great number of the population have either adjusted and acclimatized to this kind of standard assault, and a great number of the population, the younger generation, for example, have been born into this. But here's what we do know, which is relative to our topic today. And that is that immune system irregularities and dysfunction is scaling exponentially. Genetic-based diseases are scaling exponentially. We're in the middle of, quote unquote, a pandemic where the immune system is your primary defense mechanism against this. Forget taking drugs, forget taking therapies, and forget taking the medical interventions that are being suggested. I'm not saying that I'm not a virologist and all that sort of stuff, but what I am and what I do understand is that there is nothing stronger than your own immune system as a defense mechanism against all of this stuff. All of these other things are interventions. I had a PhD the other day in virology that came over to the house, and I won't name her name because it's not in vogue to challenge certain public narratives, and I understand her professional standing. But she said, if you look at the things that are in, for example, the quote unquote vaccine that's coming, there's a whole host of things that have no business being into that. What are they there for? I would suggest to the population, and your listeners are going to be on board with this, so we can talk a little bit more freely.
Yeah, right. We don't have to look around and see who's listening.
Yeah, we don't have to look around and who's listening, and am I going to lose my job?
I know,
and all that
because governors are telling people now to start snitching. They want you to snitch on your neighbors.
Correct.
This is going to degrade society as we know it. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and that's what it's designed to do, because a house cannot stand divided amongst itself. And if anybody has read the Gulag Archipelago, you'll find out really clearly exactly, and that's Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who realized he got to a point where he realized the reason he was in the Gulag was because he went along with the crowd. Right. Superhuman people, we don't go along with the crowd. We understand that the reliance on our health is not a doctor or not a virologist, or it's not a government official. It's up to us and our family to determine how do we align with the forces that have been conspiring with us for millions of years, and how do we adjust to the consequences of this technological innovation? 12% of the emergency hospital visits right now in this country are gastrointestinal related issues. 100 million people a day are suffering from some form of gastrointestinal illness. Now, 80% of your immune system is relative to your digestive system, because your skin keeps things out, but anytime that you breathe in the nose, you breathe in your mouth, right? Any open wounds, these are where foreign invaders come in, and we have a defense system. And the defense system is, it comes with hydrochloric acid, number one. Right. Then it gets into the variants of various bacteria cultures. There's a mucoid layer inside your intestinal tract that can get penetrated and permeated. And then we have inflammatory response mechanisms when food goes past that. It's kind of like the Panama Canal, as Dr. Tom O'Brien was explaining to me on my podcast the other day. It's like, food, the cells actually separate in your intestinal lining. Food comes in, your immune system goes, is this good for us? Is this a pathogen?
Right.
Then it goes to the next one and the next one. And what happens, and this is where what you're leading to, we're entering into a situation where we're going to start pounding ourselves with all the things that we know that we shouldn't eat. We're not going to be subjected to the normal immune system regulation by being exposed to people. Like that's part of how you build up your defense mechanisms.
Right.
Okay. And on top of that, we've got incredible amounts of anxiety and stress, which just depress immune system function.
I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right.
It's a perfect storm to set up the next wave of illness. And we're seeing that happen globally. And so if you want to be superhuman, you've got to plan, you know what I mean? I'm going to go see my family. They're going to give me some Christmas goodies and stuff like that. I'm going to eat them and all that sort of stuff. So what am I doing to prepare for that?
Right.
Number one, I'm engaging in regular, consistent fasting to clear out my system. You know, I do believe that in this time thing, if you're doing intermittent fasting or alternate day fasting, but try and limit the amount of damage you're doing at a given time. Okay, you go into the relatives for Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, that's at this time. I'm going to have the one big meal. That's it. And then I'm going to do everything else that I need to do to clean out my system. And so I think it's really important that people bolster their immune system function by, number one, repairing the gut biome. Number two, making sure that they have an ample defense in the probiotics that they're having in their lives, and they're doing everything that they can to fight back against the forces that are conspiring to take them out.
No, and this is the time to do it now in preparation.
Now.
Not when you're knee deep in the season, but now when you're getting ready to step into the season. So your group has systematically devised a stack that works together to do certain things. What are those things that this stack will provide that will enhance immunity?
Great question. And first I want to share with you guys, and I can't wait to release all this stuff. We have a PhD team working in Bosnia who are experts in the gut biome, and it's really extraordinary that we're doing experiments where we throw EMF pollution, we throw toxins at it, we give probiotics, vitamins, and minerals, and see what happens. Like, we do all kinds of really fun experiments.
Right.
And so when I share
I just want to mention something. There are a couple really good studies out already that show that the passive RF from your cell phone is changing the landscape of your microbes. So we already know that RF is affecting our guts. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's and there are variances between individuals about how responsive they are. So one of our researchers who does genetics and epigenetics talks about non-mutated, partially mutated, and fully mutated people and how well they adapt to these systems. That's why some people can't handle any EMF waves, and some people seem to do all right. And you know, there's always a variance of adaptation in any species set. So a couple of things that you want to do is recognize is that if you're taking in the gluten and the pastries and all the things that kind of go with all of these kind of social celebrations, you're going to blow out your gut. It's not if, it's an absolute certainty. You are going to dysregulate and potentially create perforations in the film that sits right between, you know, where your food is and where the cell walls are. This is where the bacteria is, and you get permeations in that, and you're going to leak some of this into your system, and your immune system goes into an inflammatory response. And that's when you get the sniffles. That's when you start getting the cough. That's when you start feeling run down. You're like, oh, I must have picked up something when I was at grandma's Thanksgiving dinner or whatever. No, what happened is you did pick up something. You picked up an inflammatory response from what you ate.
And I want to submit something. There's hard evidence that what you're saying is fact, and we all know it, but we don't really recognize it. And that is this: you go out to grandma's and Uncle Joe's and Auntie Sue's 3 days in a row, and you'll eat all that crap food that you know you normally don't eat, and you'll get on the scale, and you'll be 4 or 5 pounds up. But that's not new tissue creation. That's not new fat. That's not new muscle. That's not new bone. That's edema. That is fluid being stuck in your body from inflammation. Nothing, you can't make 5 pounds of fat in 3 days. You can't make 5 pounds of muscle in 3 days, but you can make 5 pounds of swollen tissue in 3 days. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You say that so well. And when you have that swollen tissue response, you have to recognize that that's a sign that your immune system is under attack.
Yeah.
And it's sending in inflammatory agents because it's trying to take out the bad guys, which are now running wild through your bloodstream and through your body, because they're like, uh-oh, these things are going to affect my brain function. They're going to affect my heart function. They're going to affect my immune system. Just so you know, a lot of people don't recognize that the number one day for heart attacks is Thanksgiving.
Really?
Yeah, the 24 hours from Thanksgiving dinner to the next day is the number one. And I do believe a lot of it has to do with someone who's in a compromised state. That big food load now is the thing that, shuts down the constriction happens inside, the arteries, and boom, someone that's preconditioned, that's going to send them over the edge.
They're on the edge. That meal will send them over the edge.
Yeah. So because they're just teetering, they're just waiting for a signal.
I also know from, this is probably 20 years ago, that the people have more heart attacks after they've gone out to a family function, like a wedding, a christening, a baptism, or any of those things, that they're more likely to have a heart attack the next day. And the study talked about this is because of the mass amounts of foods they ate, and also foods they don't normally eat, and it just pushed them over the edge. They were there, they just needed a little push to go the rest of the way.
Yeah, exactly. And so, as intelligent human beings who are, recognize we're also social beings, and I love the socializing. I'm going through massive stuff to get to my family for the Christmas holidays. I'm going to be going in 2 weeks quarantines. They're up in Canada. It's a ridiculous thing. I just refuse. I'm just going to do whatever it takes to get there because I believe it's important, and I encourage everybody to get with the people that you love. I think it's a really critical thing. But what I'm going to say to you is bolster your gut health, bolster your immune system, plan in advance right now, and start doing some preventative measures. And I'm going to talk about some mitigations that you can do when you're going. Number one, I do believe intermittent fasting. And alternate day fasting can be very useful. You're going to grandmother's. You know what? Don't eat that day. Or after the meal, number one, if you can, go for a 30-minute walk after. It'll help regulate blood sugar. Number two, the next day, limit the amount of food that you eat. Right? You're naturally, a lot of people will want to do that, but really do that. And if you can, even fast the day after, let yourself clean out and load up on your immune system enhancers, the probiotics that can help you use hydrochloric acid when you're having your meals to make sure that if there's any pathogens in the food or whatever, you can wipe that out. You can break your food down properly. And even if you want, one of the things I do is, if I know I'm going to have a big set of meals, kind of like that, and I like it, I'll take some intestinal cleansers as well to kind of push that stuff through. And of course, drink copious amounts of water. Right. No, dehydration is another factor that really it makes the immune system function not work that well.
One of the things you alluded to is fasting mimicking. So if you can't fast the day after you've overloaded on food, try to stay under 600 calories for the day.
Correct.
Have a little snack here, so you're not famished. You don't feel like you're cheating yourself. But just try to stay under 600 calories for that day, because that creates a lot of the same autophagy and mitophagy that frank fasting does, right?
Yeah, exactly. What I find, usually if you have the sugar and sweets, you're going to experience a major blood sugar crash early in the morning the next day, and you'll oftentimes be famished. And that's where you're going to have to exert. What I do is I'm going to give you a system. I tell people, slam a bunch of Leaky Gut Guardian, take some probiotic, some Cognibiotic, some P3OM, and then go have maybe like a bulletproof coffee or something like that. Something with some fats, maybe a stimulant like caffeine inside of it, just to stabilize your blood sugar. And if you can, wait a little bit. Then if you're going to have some food, do some lean protein. Get some leftover turkey.
Right.
Have a little bit of turkey, leave the bread around, and some vegetables. Get the leftover vegetables. Take the leftover, get away from the breads, away from the sugars, away from the gluten foods. Just have real food that next day or two, and just stay away from all the contaminants. Because what happens is the next day you get up, and what do you have? You have the hot turkey sandwiches left over. Then you have the extra cranberry sauce. Yeah. Oh, there's another piece of pie. So instead of, go all out for grandma's Thanksgiving. Go all out. I'm not suggesting. But afterwards, say, here's what I'm going to implement. Here's my plan afterwards. I'm going to just eat the clean stuff after for the next couple of days, stabilize my blood sugar, load up on my gut stack before, during, and after, and I'm going to be in good shape to enjoy the holidays guilt-free and manage this in a way that allows us to enjoy everything that's great in life and still maintain our health.
So let's talk about Gut Guardian for a second, because I've not been familiar with this product. Talk about Gut Guardian. What is it? When did you introduce it? What is the purpose?
Yeah, okay. So basically what we're looking at is how do we repair the biofilm? So for a lot of people, you've heard of leaky gut, which is basically you have this little biofilm, and this is where the bacteria lives in your intestinal tract. And, you know, there's kind of layers to it.
Right.
And this film is critical for the good species of your body to live. There's bad stuff in there, but it's usually a balance between good, bad, and ugly. Now, when you have changes in your dietary or in your lifestyle, what can happen is you can suppress good ones and bad guys will start to grow in this film. Sometimes you'll even, or chemicals can cause like ruptures within this film. And what happens is that means that your food, the undigested food, the feces, start to go in and cross the gut lining into your bloodstream.
Right.
And if anybody's done a dark scope microscopy, you can see when you eat a big meal or whatever, how thick your blood gets as your body starts to break, trying to get these undigested proteins. It's the same type of thing, or sugars or gluten. Gluten is a big one. It's a protein that's very hard to digest. So what we looked at is, well, we know that a great number of the population is suffering from this chronic leaky gut. It's leading to weight gain and inflammation and all these
autoimmunity. It's the core of autoimmune disorders. That's it.
Right. And is there a way that we can help repair that? And it turns out there is. So there's a bunch of people that's done a whole lot of research on these kind of things. And it turns out there is an ingredient, which is an extract out of egg yolks called IGY Max. And this substance does an incredible job of repairing the gut lining.
So IG stands for immunoglobulins, right?
Correct.
And it's YMAX?
Correct.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that is a patented product. So some researchers found that. And so when you take this product, when you take IGY Max, it has been shown and demonstrated to repair this biofilm, which is really, really important because according to Tom O'Brien, you have about 48 hours if you eat an inflammatory product that it naturally takes your body to repair that. So what we suggested is, hey, well, if we can put that in and we can add some really cool bacteria with it that are known to be very effective in modulating immune system response, bacteria like Lactobacillus rhamnosus, Lactobacillus gasseri, which helps infections and inflammation, and Lactobacillus helveticus, which is all of those are pathogens that are good bacteria that reduce inflammation, help remodulate the biofilm, and we threw it in with the IGY Max. Maybe we could be able to produce results. And guess what? We tested it with our PhD lab in Serbia, and guess what? We were able to do that. So we put them all in we put it in a really interesting little powder together with some inulin and some D-ribose. It tastes amazing. I love the vanilla. Right. And you just take a little tiny scoop of this first thing in the morning. That's it. And you can feel it.
On an empty stomach. On an empty stomach. So
theoretically,
if you haven't eaten in 3 hours, you could use it again if you wanted to.
Yes, you could. Yes, you could. And so what I'm suggesting to people is even the night before, let's say you go to the Thanksgiving dinner, you go to Christmas dinner, whatever it happens to be. When you come home that night, take a scoop of that before you go to bed. When you get up in the morning, take a scoop of that. I would also add some P3OM, which has been shown to be, it's a bacteria that has been shown to wipe out pathogenic bacteria, and it breaks down protein, particularly undigested proteins, is what causes the inflammatory response in the body and the immune system overreaction. So we combine those things as well as some other probiotics as well to kind of enhance your mood, keep you upbeat, and regulate that natural blood sugar crash that happens when you're kind of, doing the Thanksgiving Christmas kind of beat down.
But so I want to stick with this for a second, because leaky gut is a very, very underestimated problem in the United States. There's a lot of doctors who don't even believe it exists, but it does. And we just have to look back at ulcers. So back in the day, people talked about peptic ulcers. And an ulcer is a wearing away of the mucosal barrier. So now that the actual tissue of the stomach lining is exposed to the gastric juices, the acid, and this is where ulcers come from. So the idea that you can have an ulceration in your stomach makes it very plausible to think you can have an ulceration in your small intestine, in your large intestine. Once this mucosal barrier wears away.
Yep.
And if you remember biology when you were a kid, they kept the hydrochloric acid in glass bottles, but you could also keep it in wax. So you could put hydrochloric acid in wax. It's inert. It doesn't do anything. But when you put it on something organic, it starts to burn. Well, the mucosal barrier is kind of like the wax that we used to use in lab to hold small amounts of hydrochloric acid. And once that wears away, the tissue in the intestines, in the colon, in the small intestine, large intestine, it becomes exposed to the digested food. I think they call it chyme, but also to the residual acids that are still working on that food. So the notion of leaky gut is legitimate. It's recognized when you call it an ulcer, but for some reason, lots of doctors don't believe it exists further downstream. Once those undigested molecules of food get into your bloodstream, the body, rightfully so, sends out inflammatory agents to go and break it down, and kill it, so to speak. Well, the problem with that is a lot of times that molecule of food just happens to look like one of the cells in your thyroid. And the body goes, hey, well, we're killing all these over here. We should probably go get those over there too. And I call it innocent bystander syndrome. These cells that have nothing to do with these things that are in your blood that don't belong there also get misidentified as those bad actors. And this is where autoimmunity comes from. This is why rheumatoid arthritis happens. This is why Hashimoto's disease, adrenal Cushing syndrome, and things like that. Or is it Addison's? I forget which one. Cushing's and Addison's. I get mixed up. But the bottom line is, then when these things get into your stomach, this is when autoimmune disorders happen. If you have any autoimmune disorder at all, Joe Rogan has that pigmentation problem where the melanin in his skin disappears and he gets these white spots. He says that's an autoimmune disorder. Any autoimmune disorder that you have is starting in your gut, all of them. And most likely is a result that the things that should be staying inside your digestive tract until they come out your anus are getting into your bloodstream. So
Correct.
Using products like this to mitigate those bad effects of the deterioration of the protective lining of the stomach is probably good for everybody, even if you have not developed symptoms yet. Because once you have symptoms, it's really, really hard to pull that train and stop it. It really is. The prevention, the old saying is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I think most of our listeners are recognizing that the reliance on the sick care system is not where you want to go. You want to avoid getting to the hospital. You want to go there. Doctors are just doing their best job to keep you alive at that point. That's what they're trained for. That's what they do. They're not there to advise you on lifestyle. They don't have the street creds in order to do that. So you have to recognize you don't ask the electrician to do the plumbing. Right.
It's
right.
not that
and you don't ask the electrician to wire the house after it's already been built, which is basically when they want to be fixed after they're broken.
Exactly.
I want to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, so we talk about Gut Guardian and P3OM, but I want to talk about the addition of cognobiotics into this stack and why. Why, if we're talking about immune system, why is cognobiotics an important discussion? Now, I want to tell everybody who's listening to the show and watching live right now that you can actually get the ultimate immunity stack If you go to shrnetwork.biz/protect and use the code SHR, you'll not only get an additional 10% off, but if you look, there are bundled offers that save you up to 64%, including the 10% off you get through SHR, and in some cases, free shipping. So you want to go to shrnetwork.biz/protect to get started to learn more. We're going to talk more about this when we come back. Stay tuned. This is Superhuman Radio. Chronic stress leaves us tired, distracted, and physically vulnerable. Apollo Neuro is here to help you take control. Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that trains your nervous system to be more resilient to stress. Apollo's gentle vibrations use your sense of touch to help you recover from stress, going from fight or flight to rest and digest so you can relax, get to sleep, focus, and stay healthy. Developed by physicians and neuroscientists, Apollo Neuro has been tested in multiple clinical trials and is proven to improve heart rate variability, the key biometric of stress. Special offer for friends of Superhuman Radio. Try Apollo Neuro today and get 15% off your purchase at apolloneuro.com/superhuman. That's APOLLONEURO.com/superhuman. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor? Strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said that all disease begins in your gut. That's why it's so important to protect yourself with boosted immune system. If you drink coffee, tea, smoothies, or really any beverage in the morning, and you're looking for a tasty way to start your day and defend yourself against harmful bacteria, then I have just the thing for you to try. It's called the Ultimate Immunity Protection Stack, and it was put together by my friends over at Bioptimizers. Their immunity stack has 3 products which contain over 18 natural herbs and probiotic blends formulated to fight and eliminate bad bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and repair compromised gut lining. It also includes psychobiotics, which help increase serotonin and happy chemicals to naturally elevate your mood, performance, and cognitive function with no side effects or dependencies. It's a great addition to your morning routine, and it tastes amazing. Just stir it into any beverage, sip, and enjoy. It's the ultimate way to boost your immune system right before the holiday season. Go to shrnetwork.biz/ultimate immunity and use code SHR10 and save an extra 10% off on the. You won't find this deal or stack anywhere else, and this special is only until November 30th. For fast shipping and the best deal, go to shrnetwork.biz/ultimate immunity today.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where we use oxygen for the power of good.
I got to make a correction. that spot was supposed to run last month, and then we changed things up. It doesn't end November 30th. It goes through December. So I just wanted to mention that for those of you who, and I got to change that spot. I'll change that spot. Anyway, we're talking right now with Wade Lightheart from Bioptimizers. We were originally going to do this interview last month on the show, and that spot was actually produced for last month, so I'll get that fixed. I actually fixed it before the show, but I guess I didn't load the right one in. That's the only thing I could think of. See, I'm weary. I'm very, very weary. Why Cognibiotics? I guess I know why. I should have taken some this morning before coming to work. What do you think?
Well, it's interesting. There was a great experiment that we ended up doing. There's two parts to this. So again, we're running these tests all the time and checking out, number one, what probiotics work complementary to other, what herbs have been used traditionally in Chinese medicine that support immune system function, as well as what elements actually support the growth and support of the good bacteria. And it turns out that one of the things that people suffer from significantly during the holiday season is depression. Depression and anxiety. Anxiety because they can't have the holidays they want or the situation stuff. But it's aggravated by a couple of things. Number one, the gut dysbiosis that can happen through inflammatory agents, but also the dysregulation of blood sugar, which can trigger people who have, I would say, sensitive neurochemistry to flip over and enter into a depressive state or an anxious state. And I've been passionately researching. I have a number of very, very close friends who I started coaching over 20 years ago who have very sensitive neurochemistry. And that led me to study orthomolecular nutrition with Hoffer and Pauling and Hawkins and those guys who were using all these different nutritional interventions to regulate brain chemistry.
Yeah.
And mood. And I remember in Dr. Hawkins on his book, Healing and Recovery, when he had people who had psychotic episodes, the first thing he would do is he would actually say, listen, no sugar for you for 2 weeks. And he said 50% of the cases stopped just from reducing the blood sugar, because if you've got sensitive neurochemistry, it flips you off. And a lot of people get very depressed over the holidays. And I think it's partly because the inflammation of all the collective inflammation from what people do during the holidays with sensitive neurochemistry sets you up to flip off into these depressive states because you're not making the neurochemicals that you need to keep your brain and your mood up. So we developed a product called Cognibiotics. And basically what we did with that particular product is we stacked a well-known proprietary blend of probiotics, which are been proven to help manufacture the neurochemicals in your brain. And we combined it with a host of Chinese herbs all combined together that have been also shown to stimulate and optimize neurochemical functioning. In fact, we just went to a whole neurochemical release, which we'll have to come on your show and talk about our new nootropic stuff. But the bottom line is that we're looking at a multifaceted approach here. Number one, we want a bacteria culture with the P through M that will wipe out bad guys. It's been shown, the documentation's well known. Something that repairs the gut mucosa, the bacteria live in, the biofilm. And then something that stabilizes the neurochemicals as well as providing inulin, because here's another thing that people don't recognize. Over 80% of the fiber that people consume to support your bacteria actually come from wheat products in this country. And so what happens is a lot of people go on, an anti-gluten kick, let's say, and they feel great for 6 months. And they're like, I lost all this weight and then all of a sudden all these things start coming back and they start gaining weight because they've starved out their good guys because they haven't put things in it. So we added elements like inulin inside of this to support the good guys.
Prebiotic, right? Inulin is a powerful prebiotic. We just talked about this yesterday. We did a show about oral cancer that the pathogens in the mouth that cause oral cancer. And we talked about the fact that probiotics and prebiotics are like coral. You have these living creatures that poop out this calcium that makes the structure that is coral. They both depend on each other. You take the creatures out of the coral, they die. You take the creatures out of the coral stops growing. So the prebiotic and the probiotic must be delivered together. Taking probiotics by themselves, you're just going to poop it all out. That's all you do.
Exactly. And so one of the things, and there's a lot of people that are very onto like bulletproof diets or carnivore diets and things like that. And I get it, because a lot of times people will go to them because of the inflammatory responses. They reduce that. But what I'm suggesting to people is be very mindful of making sure that you get healthy bacteria in combination with prebiotics, because you need those. And if you're not adding, you need to be consciously adding these fibrous type, whether it's vegetables or whether it's, supplements, if that's the most convenient way for you on your dietary habits, to add those things so that make sure that your bacteria has a place that they can grow and live in, they can feed them, because otherwise they starve out in 24 hours and they're done. If you don't have the food, the bacteria, so their lives are very short between they divide and go through, the system. So a whole lifetime is a day for, one of these little bacterias.
Right.
And so what happens on a 24-hour, a 48-hour, a 72-hour is literally like generations in human lifetimes.
Right. Right.
So it's important to recognize these responses happen very quickly and effectively, and why you need to be consistent in addressing them.
Janet Keith is asking, what is the site that I mentioned earlier? And I'm going to put this up again. To get the ultimate immunity stack now, before the holidays start to tear your gut down, go to shrnetwork.biz/protect, PROTECT. And if you use the code SHR, you'll get an additional 10% off of whatever you buy there. But more importantly, if you shop and you look, they have packages where you can bundle a bunch of stuff together and literally save almost 64%. I was astonished. When you get there, you'll see what I'm talking about. And on top of that, you can even get free shipping on some of these packages if you bundle them together. Nothing that Bioptimizers makes is unworthy of your money. This is the first thing I want to mention first. A lot of times when you learn something new about a product, you go to the website and you go, wow, this sounds amazing. If this really works, this is going to be amazing. And then they offer you this deal. Like if you buy 6 months worth, you save a ridiculous amount of money, but you don't buy 6 months worth because you're not convinced. Well, I'll just buy 1 month and try it. You don't have to do that with Bioptimizers, because there isn't anything they make that doesn't do what they say it does. And I found this out personally. I use their supplements every single day. So the reality is that if you want to take advantage of one of these bigger bundles, do it, because it'll just save you a bunch of money on the inevitable products that you're going to purchase over the next 6 months anyway. So why do it any other way? So again, shrnetwork.biz/protect. Use the code SHR and you'll save an additional 10% off. Check it out. And I hope that was, let's see here. Okay, so we answered that question. So all three of these are put together. In the commercial, we talk about taking it with coffee. Are you suggesting the IGY Max you mix in with a juice or whatever you drink in the morning? I think coffee, by the way, I got to go on record as saying that I think coffee is one of the worst things you can do for your gut. I'm convinced of that, and no one will ever tell me different. I don't care about the polyphenols or the caffeic acid. I think coffee on an empty stomach, you do that day after day, year after year, and you absolutely will be complaining about gut problems. You won't understand why, but I do. But you suggest mixing some of this stuff in with drinks, right?
Yeah, you can either take it, for example, you can take it just like I just take it and put it in my mouth. It tastes like vanilla frosting. That's how the Leaky Gut Garden vanilla is incredible. It just tastes amazing. We have a chocolate one that's for people who we call it carnivore chocolate and vegetarian vanilla. The carnivore version has some beef broth in it, as well as some collagen to enhance it. where the Leaky Gut Guardian vanilla version doesn't. It just has the IGY Max. Some people, and my girlfriend is one of those people who likes to actually mix the Leaky Gut Garden in her coffee. She makes a vanilla latte. Fair enough. She likes it. You know, we haven't tested. I'll be clear about that. We haven't tested what happens when you take it with coffee, but now that I'm thinking about it, that's a test I want to run to actually see. So I'm going to
see if it mitigates the damages of coffee. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you could drink coffee again if you add this to a creamer.
Exactly. So the reality is I don't know what the result of that is officially. I will do some tests on it. Next time I come back, maybe we'll report on that, because it's always fun to do these crazy tests that we do with our team. But you can mix it with water, you can mix it with juice or whatever. But again, if we're talking about this holiday stack, my suggestion, take the Leaky Gut Guardian the evening after you've eaten. Same thing first thing in the morning. Wait 30 minutes, take the cognibiotics and pee through them with them in conjunction. Throw all the good guys in, throw the inulin in, throw the IGY Max in all together. Wait 30 minutes before you eat. And then if you eat, protein and fibrous vegetables, stabilize the blood sugar, keep your body feeling good, keep your calories low. You're going to be in good shape going through the holidays.
So if someone has very progressive leaky gut, and they know it. They just know it. They're sensitive to everything. Their health is getting worse and worse. Is there a way to take the IGY Max, maybe buy 5 or 6 canisters of it, or the Gut Guardian, and just really like 3 or 4 times a day, a scoop, 3 or 4 times a day? Do you think there's any value to that?
100%. You know what? I'm a big advocate of concentrated stimulation of a result. So what I would do is say, you know what? Take 3 days, take a holiday, a day off, or you got 3 days consistently, go through fasting protocols, add the IGY Max, literally take bottles of probiotics, load your system up, stop the inflammation, drink copious amounts of water. I would take Leaky Gut Guardian, multiple times throughout the day. I take the probiotics multiple times throughout the day. Don't eat for 72 hours. Do a concentrated fast and rebuild your gut lining. Then from that, gradually introduce foods into your diet through controlled eating. In other words, you follow a restrictive diet and you monitor. How did I feel after each thing? Eat things in singular. In other words, try rice, try potatoes, try your favorite lean cuts of protein, try different vegetables. Try each thing individually and build out the foods that work for you and the ones that make you feel crappy. This will take you approximately a month on the fast side to maybe 12 weeks on the long side, but you need to take ownership of your lifestyle and what you put in your body and build it out, and then you'll be fine. But if you don't do that, you are going to be head to multiple trips to the hospital. You're going to be seeing gastroenterologists. You're done. You are going into that medical system, and they're going to cut you. They're going to rip you up, and you're going to be on the cycle of medications and disease for the rest of your life. So yeah, it's invasive. Yes, it's difficult. But you know what? The other options really suck.
Right. I got to put this up. This is non sequitur to the interview. But Robert Borelli is a dear friend of mine. We knew each other when we were puppies, as my father would say. And he said he's watching me on Facebook. I remind him of my dad, which is a compliment. Thank you. And I've come a long way since we hung out together. I didn't know you were so wise. I wasn't always wise, Robert. But thank you for saying that. I love you, man. Thank you. I'm really, I'm like you. Like, I like to take large doses of things and see how it feels. And a lot of people would say, well, if it makes you feel worse, you lost. No, if it makes you feel worse, it showed you something. You're on the right path. You're just going in the wrong direction. So Correct. If you do something that actually makes it worse, rejoice in that, because you can go, oh, wow. So that may be what's causing the problem. I need to just stay on that path and go in the other direction. And I'm a big believer in mega dosing things to see if they work. And I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to do it. I'm going to try at least 5 times a day, taking the Gut Guardian on an empty stomach. I'm going to fast specifically for this. And I'm actually going to do it right after the holiday. I'm going to do it right after the holiday because I don't want to impinge the holidays right here. And I don't want to be I'm not eating that guy. Everybody,
right.
but I'm going to do it. I am, because I have leaky gut. I know I do. I have some autoimmune issues. And I can make them better or worse depending on the food I eat. So I know it's my gut. I want to put this up one more time for people who are listening and watching live. You can get the Ultimate Immunity Stack if you go to shrnetwork.biz/protect and use the code SHR for an additional 10% off. Actually, just using that link, the 10% discount is added on already. And if you look at some of these bundles, you can save ridiculous amounts of money by buying these in multiple months, if you will, orders. And they work. I use Cognibiotics when I fast. I can tell the difference. I use P3OM religiously. I don't have to use betaine HCl anymore. Amazing. I use the P3OM, and I can tell you that my food and I eat 2 pounds of beef in a sitting. Every day after my show, it's right there. I will eat 2 pounds of beef today, but I'll throw down about 15 P3OM, and I'll throw some down ahead of time, and then I eat them as I'm eating my food. I throw some more in, and so they're kind of going down like a sausage. They're all mixed in.
Right.
But yeah, and I mean, there's nothing that Bioptimizers makes that isn't worth your dollars. Now, that's not to say you may not be a non-responder. I want to make sure I'm clear about this. There are junk products out there that no one responds to. We've all seen them. They come and go. They hit the market hard and then they disappear a year later. Then there are products that are worthy, but they don't work for you. There's clearly evidence that they work for a lot of people, but not you. That's a different story. If you're a non-responder, you just have to start asking more precise questions about your health to elucidate what it is that's causing your problems. And keep in mind, I just wrote a blog post the other day. Peptides are so exciting right now because they're cellular messages. I use peptides every single day. I inject them every day for different reasons. And they work. But they only work if you remove the insult first. Peptides are not going to cure you if you're doing stupid stuff, making bad decisions, and have no discipline with your diet. And you think you can take peptides to mitigate your bad decisions and your lack of discipline, it's not going to work. You're going to be disappointed. But once you remove what's causing the problem, products like this and peptides will speed you along to becoming whole again. That's the important thing. We can fix ourselves. We don't have to remain broken. So I just wanted to throw that out there too, because there are non-responders, I'm sure. But you guys have the best policy in the world, right? Talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you're absolutely right. Everybody always falls on a bell curve. And unfortunately, marketers unscrupulously put the ones at the 2%, where people made recoveries from super diseases and all that stuff, because that was the one thing that was element. And then, of course, the haters are on the other end of the bell curve where they took something and had a terrible response in their body. So we understand that as advocates in the health industry. And so what we do is we remove all the risk. If people try our product, try the stack, for example, or any of our products, and they're not totally blown away, we'll send you the videos. We have our customer service, how to take it, how to use it, how to optimize it, how to maximize, minimize, and optimize, whatever you want to do. And if you're not totally delighted and say, wow, this is the best product I've ever had, it really worked for us, no problem. Let us know. We give you your money back. It's just that simple. We remove the risk. We're that confident in our products. We also want to not create a situation if somebody, for whatever reason, had a bad reaction or didn't work out or whatever, we want to be able to say, hey, you know what? Thank you for giving us a try. Don't let that discourage you on your journey to health. We're going to give you your money back so you can deploy that back to whatever the next thing is for you until you figure out how to be superhuman.
One last question. This is a good one, and I have some opinions. I'm going to let you weigh in first. Danny Geraldo Oquendo, who listens to the show from Colombia. How you doing, Danny? He says, how do you make it possible for probiotics to survive the stomach passage and the gastric acids. It's obviously a harsh environment. So you go ahead and respond to that, and then I have a critical thinking approach.
Well, one of the easiest ways to do it is to actually take your probiotics on an empty stomach. Is the easiest way, because your gastric acid doesn't come in till 30 to 60 minutes after digestion. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to take my probiotics late at night before I go to bed and first thing in the morning before I get involved in the eating component. And that, to me, is probably the easiest and simplest method. There are some bacteria which are very resistant that we've proven to do so, like the P3OM, which have been proven to survive in our patented studies, to survive even the most potent hydrochloric acid environments. It'll survive. So what you'd like to do is you want to look for probiotics that have been demonstratable to survive those conditions.
Okay, so I'm not a very intelligent guy, but my mother taught me to be a very, very precise critical thinker. When I see something that proves in real world terms, I follow that, because I don't care about science and what other people, I know this works. So yesterday I talked about the best probiotic soup. And actually, I think this originally comes from New Zealand, believe it or not. It's a soup made of artichoke, leeks, and onions. Cowboys on the range would make it. And so they did a study with orally administered probiotics and this soup. And they could tell how much of the probiotics was staying in the person versus coming out, because they would do stool analysis. And the reality is that probiotics, whether they're taken orally in capsules or in this soup, come out on your feces wholly intact, which made me think, well, wait a minute. Are we making much to do about nothing about the survival of probiotics in the stomach? I mean, no one debates that kimchi, delivers fantastic probiotics. Nobody debates that kefir. It's only when it's, how do you make it survive? Well, how does it survive in the kefir? How does it survive the stomach acid? How does it survive in the kimchi? How does it survive in the cowboy soup from New Zealand? I really think that we have made a lot more about the questionable survivability of microbes in the harsh gastric environment, because they've been surviving for thousands of years.
Well, it's like, how do you get salmonella poisoning?
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. Like, how do you get salmonella? How do you get something from a foodborne microbial pathogen illness from eating it? If those things don't, I don't, I'm sure there's studies that'll say I'm wrong, but I don't care, because I know I'm right about this. Bingo. How do you get salmonella? You wouldn't be able to get salmonella if they didn't survive the stomach.
Yeah, I think what happens is anytime that you do a double blind or study, you are reducing a lot of factors, and there's a whole lot of things that we're making assumptions around. And I think in a lot of cases, many of the research that's been done on probiotics were actually testing dead probiotics. They weren't even live probiotics that were going into the experiment in the first place. And so that's the issue, is that the handling, the care, the freeze drying, all of these things gave you a bacteria culture that wasn't alive to start the study. And nobody is actually checking for mobility and motility of these organisms beforehand, because they probably were dead before you even tried it.
Bingo. That's a great assumption right there. The ultimate immunity stack is yours for the taking today. Get it now, before you start to load up on junk and start to feel sick, being exposed to other people who have colds, or just being worn down and run down from drinking a lot, not sleeping well. Go to shrnetwork.biz/protect and pick up the ultimate immunity stack for yourself today. I am really looking forward to using Gut Guardian. I have a real good feeling about this. I'm actually familiar with IGY Max as an ingredient. And now that I know it's in there, that's where I'm going to use it. Thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Same to you.
So what are you going to do for 2 weeks in Canada? Like, you're going to visit friends, or you're just going to stay in a hotel and work out and run and what?
I'm going to go to see my family. I'm going to be hunkered down in the cold snow of New Brunswick, Canada. And I really don't know. I'm probably going to go out of my mind to be true. But, it is what it is, and I got to do what I got to do. So
no, you got to see family. That's the most important thing right now, is to see family. That's the one thing they can't take away from us with all this quarantine nonsense. So, Wade, thanks for being here today, brother.
Always a pleasure, Carl.
Talk soon, okay?
You bet. Take care. Have a great holiday.
You too. All right, we're going to take one quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to be joined by Coach Rob Regish for the regular edition of the BluePrint Power Hour. So stay tuned. Let me just get my banners up here, and here we go. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said that all disease begins in your gut. That's why it's so important to protect yourself with boosted immune system. If you drink coffee, tea, smoothies, or really any beverage in the morning, and you're looking for a tasty way to start your day and defend yourself against harmful bacteria, then I have just the thing for you to try. It's called the Ultimate Immunity Protection Stack, and it was put together by my friends over at Bioptimizers. Their immunity stack has 3 products which contain over 18 natural herbs and probiotic blends formulated to fight and eliminate bad bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and repair compromised gut lining. It also includes psychobiotics, which help increase serotonin and happy chemicals to naturally elevate your mood, performance, and cognitive function with no side effects or dependencies. It's a great addition to your morning routine, and it tastes amazing. Just stir it into any beverage, sip, and enjoy. It's the ultimate way to boost your immune system right before the holiday season. Go to shrnetwork.biz/protect and use code SHR10 and save an extra 10% off on You won't find this deal or stack anywhere else. For fast shipping and the best deal, go to shrnetwork.biz/protect today. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
Quest Nutrition makes bars, cookies, chips, and pizzas out of complete dairy-based proteins. Our products minimize net carbs and sugar without sacrificing taste. Each delicious chocolate-flavored chip, cookie chunk, and crunchy crumble is custom made to maintain Quest macros. It's time to enjoy foods that work for you, not against you. It's time to enjoy your Quest.
Mind Bullet is a kratom product derived from the coffee family to boost energy and creative juices. Mind Bullet comes in both pill and liquid form for the ultimate pre-workout supplement. When needing a little pick-me-up or to get through the morning fog, Mind Bullet will set your productive course fast. Go to shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet, all one word, today, and save 20%. No subscription required. That's shrnetwork.biz/mindbullet. Get yours today. Proper hydration can lead to improved endurance, performance, and recovery. When we sweat, we lose valuable electrolytes that must be replaced. That's why Element created a zero-sugar, science-backed ratio of electrolytes that you can add to your water. It comes in 3 flavors. Sample them all risk-free with the Element Variety Pack. Carl's favorite is raspberry. Free shipping on all U.S. orders. Go to shrnetwork.biz/LMNT and get yours today. New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Spit that out right now. This is the Superhuman Channel. Calling all Blueprint Army. Fall in line. It's time for the Blueprint Power Hour with Coach Rob Regish on the Superhuman Radio Network.
Welcome back to Superhuman Radio. There's a special 2-hour edition because we're going to be on vacation for Thanksgiving. And I'm going to need lots of ultimate immunity stack because I plan on doing some damage with alcohol and maybe a little kush and who knows what else. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing fantastic. Is your move done, or are you still doing that?
Well, we're moved in, but that doesn't mean I mean, there's stuff everywhere. It'll be at least 3 weeks before we have everything put away.
Yeah, it's never done, is it?
Well, I mean, I'm 62, Lisa's 61. We've accumulated a lot of stuff in our lives.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff to move. I mean, it's just, just the sheer clothing alone, her clothing and mine took up 2/3 of a box truck.
Wow. Well, hey, most of it's done, right? If you got out of it without getting injured, you had a great move.
Yeah, no, definitely. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. And I wanted to make this announcement, though, at the top of the show because, 6 months or so ago, we had a special on the Blueprint Bulletin. It was by far the most successful we had ever done because it was the best offer we had ever put out there. And that was done because times were tough, and times are still tough, if not worse than they were before. So effective immediately and to coincide with Black Friday, we are offering the Blueprint Bulletin for less than $5 a month for 3 full months. Even better, you're going to get instant access to the entire online library, which means at least 100 issues now, I think it's been. To sweeten that deal even further, I asked myself, what can I do? Well, holidays are coming up, right? Obviously, a lot of people put on too many pounds. They want to get it off. Therefore, I am including a free copy of my updated Fast Fat Loss Report, which contains both established as well as several new compounds making a big impact in fat loss. And when I say big impact, I really mean it, including a non-stimulant version, which I never thought would work the way it works. So that should be just in time for the holidays. You can either use that information to avoid the holiday pounds altogether or just have it on hand for damage control. I do want to read to you one quickly from one email I got last week. It should give you some idea of the kind of value that you're getting for your money. He sent me an email. He said, "Thanks so much for all this great info. I've been a subscriber for a year now and can't believe how much your info has helped me and my family. From the smallest things like gains in the gym to general health, you have given me a wealth of knowledge that I could not possibly get at any university." I think that sums it up, and that certainly makes all the research and all the writing worth it when I get emails like that, and I get a fair share. So to take advantage, you can use code SHR5 for $5 a month at CoachRobRegish.com right now.
Well, actually, we have a special link.
Oh, your special link.
Yeah, so the special link is go to shrnetwork.biz/CoachRob.
Yeah.
And the original code I was given was first 90, but it doesn't have to be first 90. The bottom line is once you get to that page,
right,
it will offer you 3 months of the Blueprint Bulletin for $14.99. So it's just under $5 a month.
Yeah.
So again, I have to edit something because I misspelled the word first here. I spelled it Fertz. There's been some that we've been trying to get this set up, and unfortunately, there was a little change at the last minute. But yeah, if you go to shrnetwork.biz/CoachRob, you'll find everything you need. And we have a code they can use, either first 90 or what's the other code they can use, Rob?
SHR5 will get them the same special.
Okay, so but just make sure you go to shrnetwork.biz/CoachRob, and you'll see get 3 months for $14.99. Bam, all taken care of. That's all you need to do. And we'll give you that again later in the show.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a lot of good questions to go through. And since this is the last show before the holiday, we're going to get everything covered, including questions that people submit live. The first one comes from Stephen Durr. He says, my son just turned 18. And he's really into lifting. Since he's working now, he has spending money and wants to start taking supplements. What would you recommend? I'd recommend he saves his money and buys more. Buy more chop meat.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, right, this is the opportune time to start teaching kids about money. Money doesn't come with instructions. And sometimes the more you make, the bigger, the problems that you get into. So I would encourage him to save at least 10% of whatever he makes, have him do that and put it in a safe place, like a, FDIC saving account or at a local or even an online bank. Just like training consistently, that builds good habits, right? And he won't have to worry as much, right? When his car breaks down or he needs money for other emergencies. That has to do more with training than most people realize. And here's why. Everyone understands the importance of sleep, right? And keeping stress levels low. No reasonable person disputes that. How do you think you sleep at night when you're $10,000 in debt and a credit card debt? Not very good, which means your muscle growth is going to be compromised.
Interesting correlation. That's pretty funny.
It really is true. So be that as it may, though, I have always said $1 in the supplement game should be spent on essential amino acids. I would recommend that he take 6 grams just prior to starting his workout and sipping it between sets whenever he trains. The benefits are primarily twofold: much faster recovery and an increase in protein synthetic machinery, if you will. Neither of those increases, by the way, is subtle. As many people recover so fast, they can add an extra day, or when they're young, even 2 more days a week to their training schedule and do so productively. On the protein synthesis front, studies show a 600% increase in protein synthesis when 6 grams are taken just prior to training. That beat the old record of 400% when those same 6 grams were taken immediately post-workout. Interesting, huh? So if he still has money to spend after that, I would recommend that he buy a quality protein powder like Thrive. That's always going to be a wise investment. And so he will have built not only good financial habits, but good supplement habits. And he will understand how to use supplements at the most opportune time. Supplements don't act like drugs. Drugs act like drugs, except in one environment. Supplements can act like drugs when they're used during training. So that's the first thing. Second, the protein he does get is going to be high biological value dairy proteins that not only enhance his gains, but also his health. You can build out from there with things like creatine, TMG, beta alanine or whatnot. But also know this: he can train and gain on essential aminos and protein alone for a long, long time. Those are my recommendations.
Okay, the next question comes from Wayne Enos, long one. I came across some real bargains recently while protein shopping. I'm talking about 2 pounds for $20 versus the usual 40 or more I typically pay. The only issue is instead of being whey, it's soy, wheat, and pea protein. I'm of the opinion protein is protein, and I'll build the same amount of muscle with this stuff versus if it was whey. My friend disagrees. Who's right? Well, the fastest answer to that is your friend. Hate to piss you off, but
yeah. This is a really interesting question, right? Because while on the surface, it may appear there's no different in the end result, the truth is a lot more complicated because it's something that you can't see all the time with the naked eye. So let me explain what I'm talking about. The old scale for evaluating protein quality was biological value.
Yeah, PDAC, right? Or PDACS or whatever it was, PDAX.
Actually, PDAX came after biological value.
Oh, okay.
And it's been used for about 20 years. The latest is something called the digestible indispensable amino acid score, DIAAS. Look, for my money, biological value was the most accurate, at least in helping the average lifter understand how a protein would perform in the real world. And if he takes 100 grams of it, he's going to retain X grams of it. So what we have here is really the products in question, a dairy versus plant protein competition. Having said that, the biological value of most plant proteins are generally inferior to their dairy source cousins, and certainly a high quality way. They typically lack one or more amino acids or are too low in them.
But wait, I just want to throw this in there. Just hold that thought.
Yep.
Amino acid profiles are meaningless when it comes to plant-based proteins because, as you pointed out initially, plant-based proteins are virtually undigestible because we lack certain enzymes. In the case of soy, there are trypsin inhibitors in soy, and trypsin is the enzyme to digest soy protein. And the soy protein actually rides along with something that is designed to keep you from digesting it. So go ahead. I mean, I just want to throw that in there because I don't want people to go, well, amino acids are amino acids. No, actually, if you can't unlock them, they're not.
Right. And so all of these things adversely affect usually plant proteins' biological value. I'll refer to it as biological value.
Right.
So as an example, if whey is 100 on the scale, and some scales say 104, but I don't understand.
How could it be 100%, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Soy protein would be a 74. Wheat protein's like 64. And pea protein is 65. So knowing that, yeah, you could in theory arrive at whey's same level of nitrogen retention by using twice the amount of your soy, wheat, and pea protein. But then again, it would be twice as expensive, right? So it's not like you're getting a bargain. Certainly, at least compared to the whey. But there's also some truth in this statement. It's a partial truth. If you took two identical twins, you had them train identically for a year, and you gave one whey protein, you gave the other one a mix of soy, wheat, and pea. In a year's time, most people looking at these two couldn't tell the difference in who got what. However, as I mentioned before, that's only a partial truth. Here's the rest of it. I want you to picture two identical houses, okay, side by side. One is built out of bricks, and the other one is built out of straw, mud, and a mishmash or whatever else is laying around the construction site. Now, there's a hurricane with 200-mile-per-hour winds that's going to be hitting tomorrow. Which house would you rather be in? The answer is obvious. We all get hit. We all get hit with hurricanes, so to speak. Be that the common cold, COVID-19, or cancer and other insults. This is the point I'm building to. Your best protection is a rock solid structure. And a rock solid structure can only be built out of bricks, high quality dairy proteins, not something less. Linus Pauling said it on his deathbed. Host cell resistance is the key. So even if you have to use less total protein, make it the highest quality stuff you can find. Yeah.
Dr. Don Lyman's lab in the University of Illinois, where Lane Norton became Dr. Lane Norton. He was on. Lane Norton's going to be back on the show in January. Lane was on my show in 2006 before he was the doctor. He had done my show several times. He's exploded since then. But Don Lyman and Lane in that lab, they did a study back in 2006 that he talked about on my show. Yeah. And the study was they gave 30 grams of whey, of casein, of soy, and I don't think pea protein was popular then. I think it was, keep in mind, soy has identical leucine content as dairy protein does. That's why soy is thought to be so good. And in young trained individuals, because let's face it, that's who we're talking about here. We're not talking about grandma at home, not talking about Uncle Bob who doesn't get out of the chair very often. And it was indisputable that whey protein caused the greatest muscle protein synthesis. That's what we're after here, folks. We're after building muscle, right? So they took young trained men, they gave them identical aliquots of protein powder, several feedings a day, and they measured the protein synthetic response in muscle, and whey protein won hands down. Soy wasn't even close, even though it has similar leucine as whey does. And that's because it's not digestible. It doesn't matter. You look, if you take a pound of beef and put it in your mouth and you poop it out exactly the way it went in, you didn't get anything from it. Okay. If you can't digest the protein because the body isn't designed, this is evidence of the anti-vegan message. Plant protein doesn't build muscle unless you eat so much. And you know who found this out the hard way? So Brooks Kubik had been a staple on my show. He hasn't come on in a while. One of the reasons he won't come on anymore is because he's back to being vegan. He said he doesn't think that my audience likes the vegan message. But Brooks has gone on and off vegan numerous times. I think he goes on vegan because he feels like it's healthier for him. He feels like it. But the last time he did it, he came on my show and talked about it. He had to eat so much food in order to hit his protein targets that he was bloated and gassy and crapping all day long. So
what good is it?
Yeah, what good is it? I mean, come on. And probably not even getting the impact of all that protein that he was forcing himself to eat.
Right.
So hands down, egg, number one. Egg has the highest digestibility and bioavailability of any protein in the world, period. Number one.
Whole egg.
Right, whole egg. Number two is dairy. And the rest, they're just fighting for third, fourth, and fifth place. Why bother? Do you bet the horse? When you go to the track, you bet the horse that's going to come in third, fourth, and fifth? Do you try to pick a winner? If you want to pick a winner, choose egg or dairy protein. There you go. Amen. Here's a guy that I actually met at the Olympia one year. Elisa and I were sitting outside, and Stu Sachs came up to us. I think he lives in Jersey, if I remember correctly. He said, "What are your favorite back exercises, and what are your least favorite?"
This is a great question, because if there's one muscle that's neglected, right, it's the one you can't see in the mirror. A lot of guys don't train the back. So in terms of anchor back movements, I have a few favorites. I've talked before about the trap bar deadlift, chin-ups, and pullovers. I've discussed many times the merits of the deadlift, whether that's trap bar or otherwise. Suffice it to say, the muscle that you can build with that movement is you are limited only by your own desire. I heard that once as a young man, and boy, is it true. So it always stuck with me. Hard work on the deadlift alone can and does build beasts. Chin-ups are likely the most, I'll call it, authentic, natural, and universally respected back exercise. And that is in no small part because it reveals someone's relative strength, right? As in relative to their body weight. It does nobody any good to deadlift 700 pounds, but be unable to do a single chin-up. And yes, I've seen that. Chin-ups are also...
I want to throw something in here that's relevant, right? Yeah. So all these things we do in the gym, they're specific to the gym, bench press, deadlift, but like get yourself in the gym and have to pull yourself up, up over rising water, and there's a ledge up there and you got to grab on and you got to pull yourself up and get yourself over to the other side of that roof. All the deadlifting, and I mean, when strength is most needed is in the real world.
Very true. Very true. Or pulling yourself up on a fence. It's just pull-ups are about as natural a motion as it gets. The pull-ups, chin-ups, whatever you want to call them, they are also the best bicep builder around for my money because they work the bicep from origin shoulder to insertion elbow. You can't really say that about almost any other curl. No less an authority on training than Dave Tate, right, of West Side fame. He penned an excellent article once, and what he said basically was, hey, if I had to do it over again, I would have done a lot more chin-ups. Everyone listening should read that, in my opinion. It's that good of an article. I'm also a huge fan of pullovers. I know not everyone is. Be they on a well-designed machine, which I'm fortunate enough to have, or with dumbbells. In the September 1st, 1970 edition of Iron Man magazine, Arthur Jones penned a landmark article that was titled The Upper Body Squat, detailing all of the benefits of pullovers. You can still find that online. And like Tate's article, it's mandatory reading for all of those of you who want to understand why that lift is as good as it is.
I love the pull up, the pullover.
Yeah.
I love the Nautilus pullover, which has the cams. It distributes the weight differently as you get closer to your chest. But I think the only way to do it is not to hold on to the handles. So, it has the pads that your elbows go in, and then it's got those two handles. Let go of those handles, put your hands in a praying position, and just pull with your lats. And when you get here, release your hands and allow your arms to go all the way back as far as they can. Get that form down without using your hands. You're not going to be able to handle the weight that you think you can handle, but do it that way, start that way, and get strong that way, and watch how thick your upper back gets. Watch.
Yes, it's the one back exercise I can think of that you can train your lats to total muscular failure.
Right.
And the reason is every other row, every other back exercise involves the biceps. And
the forearms, the brachial. Exactly.
Being smaller muscle groups, they will fail right before the lats do. So find a way. If your gym doesn't have one, beg for one, whatever you need to do. Now, another fantastic back exercise that I don't talk enough about is power cleans, or related the clean and jerk. Now, conventional wisdom says that without a negative involved, you shouldn't be able to build much muscle with it. Funny thing though, guys that regularly perform it have some of the best backs and traps around. And so I don't buy that old saw because it doesn't have a negative. It can't build muscle. I also favor one arm rows and barbell straddle rows. Both are excellent for thickness.
Okay,
Speaking of which,
talk about the one arm row for a second with me.
Okay.
Do you do it supported by a bench, or do you have your feet on the ground, maybe one hand on one leg, and row with the other arm?
No, I do it supported on a bench. And part of the reason for that is I've got so much other vertical compression of the spine going on. Although I will say, jamming a barbell into the corner, loading up the other end, straddling it, and rowing, which involves more of the lower back, more than obviously the bench version. I built some damn thick lats on that, just that movement alone. So I was always taught, and I believe this wholeheartedly, vertical rows for width, horizontal rows for thickness. You don't want to be one of these guys that looks big from the front or the back, and then he turns sideways and he disappears. It's not a good look. Now, last but certainly not least is the bridge, or practicing some form of bridging. When my son and his friend asked me to do deadlifts, they saw me doing it and they said, "What is that?" I explained all the benefits. They said, "Okay, please teach me." Okay. But the bargain, or the deal, however, was this. For every movement like that will stress your lower back with vertical compression, you're going to learn two movements that are restorative to the lower back, those being both bridging and the reverse hyperextension, which we are fortunate enough to have one in our gym. providing you keep those two in the rotation, it's going to help you avoid many of the lower back issues that guys who train their back hard, right? They squat and deadlift hard, find so debilitating. So the bottom line is I would prioritize my back with a handful of the movements that I discussed. I would gradually push up those poundages over time. And in due time, you will have a wide, thick back, which will pretty much distinguish you from most other people in the gym. And you'll be injury-free, which is the real trick.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we have more questions, and you can post your questions if you're watching live here on Facebook. Stay tuned. Killed my own mic. We'll be right back with more of the Blueprint Power Hour.
All right.
I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese cows. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping on orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
When craving a snack, reach for Select Savory Snack Sugar-Free Biltong, the healthy alternative to sugar-laden beef jerky. They use a fattier cut of beef, making it more tender and flavorful. Mealtime, choose from their 63 seasonings, which are sugar and additive free. From chipotle rub to savory pumpkin spice, you'll find an option to suit your palate. Go to shrnetwork.biz/SSS today. Use code SHR15 to save 15% on any meat snack or seasoning. Savor the flavor today. Want to improve mental energy and focus? Try the new Superhuman Stack from Pure Nootropics. Stack Dynamine, Zalbutamin, Theocrine, and palmitoyl ethanolamide together and feel the lights go on in your brain. Find your perfect mix of these four. Carl likes 1 cap of each and 2 caps of Dynamine. Bam! Lights on. Go to shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack, all one word, today, and get yours for 25% off plus free shipping. That's shrnetwork.biz/superhuman stack.
Whether your goal is to build muscle or burn fat, you'll find everything you need at Redcon One. Need help getting a good night's sleep? Try Fade Out, or the most popular pre-workout supplement on the market today, Total War. Sign up for their new Transformation Challenge and win $10,000, or shop for apparel that people at the gym will know that you are serious about your training. Need a testosterone booster that works? Check out Boomstick. Whatever you need, you'll find the best quality supplements on the market at Redcon One. Go to redcon1.com. That's REDCON1.com, or go to superhumanradio.net and click the Redcon One banner ads today.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, said that all disease begins in your gut. That's why it's so important to protect yourself with boosted immune system. If you drink coffee, tea, smoothies, or really any beverage in the morning, and you're looking for a tasty way to start your day and defend yourself against harmful bacteria, then I have just the thing for you to try. It's called the Ultimate Immunity Protection Stack, and it was put together by my friends over at Bioptimizers. Their immunity stack has 3 products which contain over 18 natural herbs and probiotic blends formulated to fight and eliminate bad bacteria like E. coli, salmonella, gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, and repair compromised gut lining. It also includes psychobiotics, which help increase serotonin and happy chemicals to naturally elevate your mood, performance, and cognitive function with no side effects or dependencies. It's a great addition to your morning routine, and it tastes amazing. Just stir it into any beverage, sip, and enjoy. It's the ultimate way to boost your immune system right before the holiday season. Go to shrnetwork.biz/protect and use code SHR10 and save an extra 10% off on the. You won't find this deal or stack anywhere else. For fast shipping and the best deal, go to shrnetwork.biz/protect today.
This is the Superhuman Channel, doing reps with the weight of the world.
Welcome back to the Blueprint Power Hour. We've got questions lining up. We're going to get to everybody's questions, I promise you. First, we're going to just get right back to the questions that were mailed in earlier. This one comes from Stanley Lane. He says, how much water do you drink with creatine? I heard you have to drink 1 gallon a day minimum.
Yeah, the answer to this question is a tough one because there are 2 requirements, I think, to fulfill. One is drinking enough water daily to avoid dehydration. And then secondly, drinking enough extra water to maximize creatine's quote unquote cell volumizing effect. Now, first things first though, dehydration zaps strength. And I don't think people appreciate just how much and how big of a difference it can make going into a workout. One of the best tips I ever got was being hyperhydrated going into a full powerlifting meet, right? Because you're pretty much lifting all day. Dehydration zaps strength, so keep topping off your water. That's more pronounced than most people realized, so I wanted to address it. Now,
I did a show back in 2007. A 3% reduction in hydration can lead to 5 to 10% reduction in strength.
Think about that. 10%, 5 to 10%. That's huge. Huge. So, don't shoot yourself in the foot, I guess.
All right.
So now let's talk about what most people do. Most people just increase their water, which is all well and good. But I think they're missing the boat, so to speak, or at least the full boat. It occurred to me once that instead of just arbitrarily drinking more water, why not make sure and you're incorporating electrolytes? They're going to hold your body, they're going to help your body rather hold on to more water. And holding on to more of it means you won't have to drink as much extra. And you know what? It works. I mean, try it and see for yourself. Go ahead and lightly salt a few meals every day that you otherwise don't, and tell me what happens. Sodium is both an electrolyte and a mineral. It helps keep the water and electrolyte balance of your body. It's also important in how nerves and muscles work. And a lot of people do not get enough of it because they're terrified they're going to, get moon face and their blood pressure is going to go sky high. It's not necessarily the case, right? And that's just an example of one electrolyte. There are many, many more. Also, we discussed a few weeks back glycerin, aka glycerol. That also will help your body hold on to more water. Unlike sodium or salt, though, it helps remove water from beneath the skin and will bring more of it into the muscle. Now, as for creatine, I don't automatically accept the premise you need to drink tons and tons of extra water. Why? Well, first of all, not everyone wants this extra water weight that creatine, typically creatine mono, can give you, right? Now, I've done the gain 10 pounds in 9 days thing, right, with creatine. But seeing numbers arbitrarily go up on the scale, that's not my thing anymore. I would much rather get creatine's ATP and resulting strength boost at the same body weight to maximize my relative strength, which we discussed earlier. At the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, do I necessarily want to gain all this extra water weight? If you do, go ahead, drink an extra pint or so of water a day above and beyond your requirement to avoid dehydration. If you don't, I wouldn't force more water, and I would instead focus on maintaining proper electrolyte balance during training and perhaps use glycerin periodically. And over time, you'll be able to tweak it for both its performance enhancing and cosmetic effects.
We have a sponsor called Element Labs. Rob Wolf is behind this product. Those of you who know Rob Wolf from the from paleo and then vegan, keto, and now carnivore. The guy is a very, very smart guy. And this product, if you go to shrnetwork.biz/capital LMNT, we don't have any special discounts on it because it's stupid cheap to begin with. But a lot of people look at this and go, wow, it's got way more salt than magnesium and chloride and all the other electrolytes. And that's right. That's because when you sweat, 80% of what you lose in your sweat is sodium. It's salt. You need to and we have doctors telling people that high sodium diets are the reason for high blood pressure, and we're finding out that that's not true. Dr. James D. Nicolantonio came on my show 3 or 4 years ago. He's about to release another book. He wrote a book called The Salt Fix, where taking salt actually lowered people's blood pressure, and there's a logical reason. I'm not going to discuss it now. But if you're looking for a really intelligently, scientifically developed electrolyte product, because what Rob said is true. If you drink too much water, you can stop your heart. Why? Because it's not the water that makes the body work. It's the minerals in the water that make the body work. And replacing those is as important, if not more important, than just replacing water. If you go to shrnetwork.biz/capital LMNT, take one of these before you train. Watch what happens. You'll actually be able to train longer and harder.
Yeah, way overlooked. And finally, fun fact: creatine transport is sodium dependent. Sodium dependent across the muscle cells. So what does that tell you?
Right. And so take LMNT with take Element. I always have a trouble saying their name. It's phonetically it's Element, but it's LMNT Labs. Take that with your creatine. Mix your creatine with that and take that post-workout. All right. The next question comes from, and then we're going to get to the questions that are online. The next question comes from Jim Crockett. He says, I've heard stories about you drinking oil to gain weight. Yeah, corn oil.
Vegetable.
Are these stories really true? And was it even necessary to get bigger and stronger?
Well, first off, it absolutely is true. For over a year, in fact, I drank 2 cups of vegetable oil, mixed in 8 scoops of chocolate whey protein and some water. I did that Monday through Friday, every single week. And I never forget, it was the first whey protein, Designer Protein and Viapro, for those of you that remember it. So yeah, that's 100% true story.
I gotta believe it gave you when you first started doing it had to upset your stomach.
Yeah, until your digestive system kicks in, it's yeah. And so the question becomes, why did I do that? Well, the anabolic diet, which was brand new at the time, I got the book, I devoured the book, and following that diet, the calculations showed that I needed 6,000 calories a day to gain weight. And so here I am, just out of college, my first job, first apartment. I've got no money. I don't know where these 6,000 calories are going to come from, but I certainly wasn't going to eat them in whole food. So without that money, then I just did the next best thing. I figured I got 4,800 calories a day from that shake I just gave you, plus 1,200 or so from meat, fish, eggs, and vegetables. And I swear to you that to this day, I can recall the smell, the taste, the texture, everything about that oil and whey drink. Now, did I really need that many calories to gain on the anabolic diet? Damned if that isn't a really interesting question. I don't know that I ever asked myself that. The diet calls for 5 days a week of very low carbs, under 30 grams a day. So right off the bat, low carb ketogenic diet. Those diets, of course, are well known to cause water weight and body fat loss. So from that perspective, then, it would make sense to me I needed more calories to perhaps not lose weight. Now, at the time, I found that I could eat up to 1,000 calories more a day on a low-carb diet and still register some weight loss versus a carb-based diet. That shocked me, but it also proved that what the doctor said was right. The diet causes the body to burn body fat for fuel versus glucose, which is usually floating around in the bloodstream. I honestly can't recall what his calculations were, It was more than just body weight times, a number. I remember that, but I can't recall exactly what it was that got me to 6,000 calories a day. It's possible that I could have still gained weight on the weekends, eating maybe 4,500 calories a day during the week, or 5,000. I don't know, and then launching into a high carb weekend. But I'll never know for sure, because I sure as hell don't want to do that again. But I do think, all other things being equal, it's a lot easier to get big and strong on higher calories, obviously, than it is eating like a bird. And I'll define higher calories as body weight times 20. And there's you can go from there. And I think it's fair to say that's true whether you're eating low carb, high carb, or any mix of the two. So yeah, the stories of me drinking oil is 100% true. I can't say I want to repeat it. I can say it worked. And that got me to 252 fairly solid pounds at age 25, which is a number, by the way, that I never saw again, despite getting close a couple of years ago, 247. So, and I did that with the anabolic diet. So, yeah, and my wife said, and she fed me really well, so I didn't have to drink oil that time.
This question comes from a live viewer. Bro, do you even towel row? Is his screen name on YouTube?
Yeah.
He says, my blood pressure is usually around 110 over 50 to 60. I do a lot of low intensity, steady state cardio and weight train, and I'm in very good shape. Should I be worried about the low diastolic if I don't have issues like getting lightheaded? What do you think?
Well, certainly I think having lower blood pressure is better than, being 180 over 105. But in my reading, I have also noted where, there can be issues with low blood pressure. And one of those issues, frankly, is, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. If you get up fast, or even not so fast from a chair, you can get very lightheaded and dizzy. I don't know what the other consequences are to a diastolic that's that low. I don't know. That's a tough one.
Nah, I say you're fine. If you don't get up, if you're not, what you're referring to, Rob, it's called syncope. If you're not standing up out of a chair quickly, like if you squat regularly, I don't care if you're squatting 135. If you squat regularly and during your squat sessions, you don't have to like rack the bar because you're getting woozy, you're fine. Doctors want your blood pressure low. You've got low blood pressure. That's good. And the reality is, if your last sentence there is the answer. If I don't have issues like getting lightheaded, then don't worry about it. Because low blood pressure never hurt anybody if it didn't make them pass out. And if it's not making you pass out, then you're fine.
Yeah, my wife, in fact, is usually, 90 over 70? 90 over 70 is what she typically runs. And she is, so far, so good. Let's put it that way. With blood pressure like that, I think you have a buffer. If you're going to be using, let's say, a stimulant-based pre-workout, because obviously your launching off point isn't as high as somebody who might be 120 over 80, but on stims, all of a sudden they're 150 over 95.
So, and what's your heartbeat? What's your heartbeat like? Is it nice and relaxed? Is it 50 resting heartbeat? 50, but look at that as well as another indicator of heart health. But that blood pressure is fine if it's not causing you any problems. If you want your blood pressure to come up a little bit, run just a little bit of trenbolone, a little bit. tiny, you'll bring it up to about 160 over 90 real fast.
Even my wife's laughing at that.
It's the truth. Anytime I did trend, my blood pressure went through the roof. My heart rate was 90. My resting heart rate was 90.
Oh.
But I was strong. But anyway, okay. Dave Hartnett says, I got a new reverse hyper a couple months ago. My back hasn't felt this good in a decade. I believe it. We have one at my gym. I just need to start using it.
For a lot of people, or a lot of gyms rather that have one, it lays idle. And I'm convinced it's primarily because most people don't want to load and unload it. I think most of them know what it is. But loading it, especially if you're very strong, you're loading that sucker up with a lot of weight, especially if you're doing the swinging version.
Right.
It's a fantastic movement. And again, it's one of those movements that I used in the bargain with my son and his friend. If you're going to learn how to deadlift, you're going to be doing reverse hypers.
Right.
And bridging.
Yeah, they're great for your lower back. I did a show on them. They're fantastic for decompressing the lumbar spine. Anybody with lumbar spine problems. But if you have lumbar spine problems, you can't get on there and just start swinging.
No, you can hurt your back in the reverse.
Yes. You got to start slow. You got to start slow. I wouldn't even put any weight on it. Just get the motion down, nice and controlled. Because if you start swinging, you'll actually pull those vertebrae apart so fast that you'll feel your nerves tingling. Yeah, so
I've done that. That's how I know.
That's how I know too. So
Yeah.
I'm with you on that one. All right, we're going to take our last commercial break, and when we come back, we have the BluePrint tip of the day. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
Do you remember those delicious toaster pastries you had when you were a kid? You know, the rectangular sugar-filled snacks? Well, guess what? Legendary Foods has just made low-carb toaster pastry. This is the first of its kind, and honestly, these things are amazing. They have 3 to 4 net carb, less than 1 gram of sugar, and 9 grams of protein. You can eat them right out of the wrapper or lightly toast them. The only question is, which flavor, strawberry or brown sugar cinnamon? They're available at eatlegendary.com and Amazon. Everybody wants to feel better, be healthier, and happier. If you don't sweat profusely on a regular basis, you won't feel as good as you could. Studies have shown the power of infrared sauna. Infrared penetrates 1 to 2 inches into the body. It helps those with back pain, fibromyalgia, arthritis, depression, and anxiety. Patients get relief from infrared sauna. The Good Health Sauna has been shown to be an exercise mimetic, conveying many of the same benefits as cardio. There are a lot of reasons people buy a Good Health Sauna, but the bottom line is you will be a much happier, healthier person by using the Good Health Sauna every day. You'll crave it, you'll love it, and it will be the best purchase you have ever made. Good Health Saunas provide commercial-grade saunas for in-home and commercial use, backed by the best lifetime warranty in the industry. Unmatched customer service and the best financing makes owning one easy and will fit any budget. Go to goodhealthsauna.com/superhumanradio to learn more and save 25% off.
New Mass Pro Synthogen X2 just upped its own legendary game. To distance itself even further from the rest of the pack, Synthogen X2 now has double the key active ingredients. If you've ever wondered what steroid-like recovery feels like, Synthogen X2 delivers. See why others compare it favorably to powerful bodybuilding drugs at synthogen.com. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
I love beef. And if you love beef, listen up. I've discovered the best tasting beef in the world, and that's not an exaggeration, at Piedmontese.com. The Piedmontese breed is famous from Italy for being lean and unbelievably tender, with half the fat and calories of traditional beef. Even typically tough cuts are tender when it comes from the Piedmontese plant. And for the first time ever, Piedmontese cows are being raised here in the USA. Get 25% off all beef and free shipping for orders of $100 or more at Piedmontese.com with code SHR. Go to Piedmontese.com and use code SHR today. You will never eat any other type of beef ever again.
Want to improve mental energy and focus? Try the new Superhuman Stack from Pure Nootropics. Stack Dynamine, Salbutamine, Theocrine, and palmitoyl ethanolamide together and feel the lights go on in in your brain. Find your perfect mix of these 4. Carl likes 1 cap of each and 2 caps of Dynamine. Bam! Lights on. Go to shrnetwork.biz/superhumanstack, all one word, today, and get yours for 25% off plus free shipping. That's shrnetwork.biz/superhumanstack.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where we use oxygen for the power of good.
Welcome back. So, I gotta get that down. I gotta get that. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So, what is the blueprint tip of the day, Rob?
The tip of the day is about being thankful. And I thought the best way to do this is maybe to relay a personal anecdote about what happened to me and how it kind of turned things around. So when I was in the throes of depression, there wasn't a lot that was working. I just lost my job. I was getting divorced, and a whole bunch of other very bad, horrible things, traumatic things that were happening. But there was one thing that did help, and I did it whenever things got really bad. I made a list. I either started the day or ended the day by making a list of things that I was thankful for. And so on that list were things like my health, my son, my business, names of friends and that were there for me, even a few family members. And I always had a roof over my head and food in my stomach and a body that still responded to training. And we'll see why that's important a little later. But the trouble was I took a lot of that for granted until I started looking around. Okay. I had a cousin that I live with that took his own life, mostly because he had problems with alcohol, which I didn't and don't and never have. So that was added to the list too. I watched, as you can imagine, what that did to his poor father. And being a father myself, I couldn't figure out how the guy was getting up and functioning. I really don't. Later on, I met people that made me feel like I think I was the luckiest guy on earth. And, it may not be good form to compare yourself to, the worst of the worst, so to speak, but it can give you an appreciation, for what you do have. I'm talking about, I met people with severe depression. I don't mean the kind of depression I had. I mean depression that kept them in bed, feeling like they're under 10,000 feet of water. Problems with anxiety and a whole host of other things that would really disturb you. And here was the really sad thing. Many of these people, from what I could tell, were saddled with these things it was no fault of their own. They were abused as kids. They had really lousy genetics and had horrible health problems. And some, as I found out, were homeless. And so one of these guys, his name was Jerry, who I usually saw, he was begging for food at an intersection that I crossed on my way home from the gym every day. And that particular day, it was very cold outside, and it was raining though too, right? Cold is by itself not necessarily a problem. Neither is being wet. Cold and wet, big problem. You could die from hypothermia. He was standing there with his sign, begging for food, wearing a garbage bag, which he had cut a hole in on the top for his head. And so needless to say, I was just horrified when I saw this. And I rolled the window down and I said, "Get in, brother. We're going to Burger King for lunch," because there was a Burger King right down the road. And I wanted to buy him something to eat. I didn't have a lot of money myself, but I was doing miles better than this guy. And so he sat there, and as he ate, he listened to my worries. And then he looked at me and he said he would give anything to trade places with me. And I looked at him and I said, "What?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Because all of your problems are temporary." He said, "Your divorce is temporary. Your job loss is temporary. You're going to meet somebody special again. You'll get another job. Those are relatively easy fixes. Might not seem that way at the time, but they are. He wasn't so lucky, having multiple degenerative health issues. He had to declare bankruptcy several times. He had a criminal record, which was it was something stupid he did in his youth, as a kid, that unfortunately followed him wherever he goes. And so that was just the tip of the iceberg. He had severe mental illness issues, and being penniless and homeless without a home, he had no way to get treatment. Needless to say, he didn't have insurance. So hearing voices and going days without food or sleep, significant health issues, exposure to the elements, all of those things always meant that death was never far away for him. It wasn't. And despite that fact, and I'll never forget this, he told me more than once he was looking forward to it. He was looking forward to dying. That's how bad he felt and how badly he was suffering. You may not have any exposure to these kind of people. I know up until that point in my life, neither did I, and nor did I think in a million years I would be almost there myself. I never knew or understood how many people were hurting, or that for many of them, they never had a chance. They never had a chance given some of the issues, some of the things that happened to them from a very, very early age. I had my health. I had something, right? That's something no amount of money can buy. I still had the knowledge of how to train my body to look and perform the way I wanted it to. And that was important because what did it do? It gave me something positive to focus on when nothing else in my life was very positive. I also had a son who loved me. And unbeknownst to me, a special lady that would walk into my life just a few years down the road. So on this Thanksgiving, I want you to think about all the things that you should be thankful for, the ones that you sometimes can't see. And if you're having a hard time coming up with something, try to remember this. The things in life that to be truly thankful for, usually aren't things. They're not cars, they're not houses, they're not a big bank account. They're things that you can't buy. And I will, because of that experience, I will always be very sensitive to the plight of people and what can happen to you through no fault of your own. And so I feel like a really blessed man this Thanksgiving. Really blessed. Really blessed.
Yeah, I think we all have a lot to be thankful for. Everybody in this audience has something to be thankful for.
Yeah, sometimes it can be hard to see sometimes, but it's there. Believe me.
Yep, I agree.
It really is there.
And I am thankful for all the people that make this show possible, all the people who listen to the show and watch the show, to the sponsors. Yeah, I have a great life, so I have nothing to say. I do. I have a very, very good life. I'm very happy. Right. And on that note, I think we're going to say goodbye. We will be gone. The show will be gone until Monday, the 30th. I'm off starting tomorrow, Wednesday on. And we can't celebrate Thanksgiving in our home because it's in complete disarray. We will be spending it at a friend's house. Don't tell Governor Andy Beshear. Oh, boy. Anyway, hopefully your state isn't being run by a moron like our state. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. All right, we'll see everybody next week. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Eat all you want, because if you do this, Brooks Kubik and I did a show years ago. Get yourself a pair of dumbbells. Now, bust out a set every so often. Sit down and eat like an animal. then bust out a set of something. Just train all day long. Every time you eat, do something. Push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, dumbbell rows, shrugs, anything. Turn it into a growing season.
Put those calories to work.
There you go. Put those calories to work. We'll see you on Monday the 30th. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you. What are you saying, Molly?